This is the weekend edition of Fear and Greed, Australia's most popular business podcast. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, as always, our weekend show is a bit different, obviously, from the rest of the week. It is about each of us nominating what we think is the biggest story of the week, the most remarkable story, the sleeper story, and then our favourite story. Obviously, we do not agree. It is a competition between us, no matter how we pretend it's not and that we all get along nicely. And we have decided, some time ago that it was always best to bring in an impartial adjudicator. We couldn't find one, so we got our colleague Adam Lang from Fear and Greed to join us instead. Adam, good morning.
Good morning, Michael.
Now, have you drawn up your little score judging sheet? And I just want to paint a picture. It is on a little piece of lined paper, and you use your pen, you've got your ruler, and you line up kind of the columns and the rows, and you put Sean's name on it, and my name, and the categories, and everything is all set. Does it take long to prepare?
Not too long, Michael, but today I've gone a little looser. I've just used a plain piece of paper with no lines on it. So it's freehand. Freehand spreadsheet.
Crazy stuff there.
Yeah.
L-Dog, you have gone crazy on us.
It might be the weekend, but there's no need for chaos now, Adam. So can it still do the job?
Yes, it can.
All right. So now every week you seem to change the criteria for the judging of these categories.
I love the fluidity of Adam's judging criteria.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have this theory, not that I would like to be negative towards you in any way, shape or form, Adam. This isn't our other podcast safe word where we basically hammer you nonstop. I love the fluidity, and I love the fact that really it's all about you or I working out which one Adam's going to like more.
Yeah.
Like forget the objectivity of whether it's the biggest story or the most remarkable. It's kind of which one's going to appeal to Adam most.
Yeah. Journalistic integrity goes out the window.
Totally.
Now you are just playing the man. You are just going, what do we know about Adam? He loves spreadsheets. He loves tax reform. He loves cavoodles. And then you just pick any business news story related to any of those categories, and you're pretty much a shoo-in to win. Oh, and just remember what you promised us this week. You promised us an outright winner. None of this kind of 2-2 rubbish. We want a 3-1 or a 4-0 victory.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I've got a method in mind, so I think I'll be equipped to call a winner at the end of the day.
Let's go.
Biggest story of the week. What was it for you, Sean?
Well, basically recession or no recession in the US or Australia or Europe, wherever you'd like to think about it. This week, we had the bosses of the central banks in both the US and Australia come out and say they didn't think a recession was likely in either country. Now, I know they're talking their book a bit. What central banker really wants to be the person who oversees a recession and be remembered that way? Paul Volcker, famously in the US, is known for causing a recession. But I just find it a bit comforting that we, Australia and the US, the world's biggest economy, might not be in for a recession. Now, the theory is that because inflation is so high, central banks will have to push up interest rates so much that they trigger a recession. But Jerome Powell in the US and the Reserve Bank's Philip Lowe here in Australia say, they reckon that we're going to avoid a recession. That is massive news. Now, in Dr. Lowe's case, he said the fundamentals of the Australian economy are strong, households aren't overly indebted, and companies are willing to hire people. That's not an economy that's heading into recession. The economy is the story of the week, the month, the year. The fact that the central bank governors came out this week and said, no, we ain't going into recession, massive story for markets and for the man on the street. Michael.
Ooh, well done. That was
thanks.
That was very well sold. Convinced me. I retire.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the credibility, but I was quite happy how I sold it.
Geez, you lay the mayo on thick there. That was incredible. No, for me, the biggest story of the week is the craziness that we have seen in cryptocurrencies. And look, there have been a lot of people, right, who have been very wary of digital currencies because of their volatility, because of concerns over the value underpinning them, because of the lack of kind of regulation broadly in the crypto space. And maybe those people were right. A week ago, we saw Bitcoin plunge below $18,000 a unit. Remember, it peaked last year at almost $70,000. US dollars a unit. That is an incredible fall. Investors have been selling off. There were 24-hour periods where hundreds of millions of dollars worth of the big currencies were being sold. Some exchanges froze redemptions. People couldn't get their money out. Inflation, rising interest rates, concerns about regulation, the potential for kind of official digital currencies are all combining to put immense pressure on the crypto space. There has been so much hype around crypto for so long, and maybe that's all it is, hype. What do you think, Adam?
Okay, so I'm going to use two systems of judgment here.
Oh, good Lord.
And I'm going to reveal one now and one later.
You may never get off this podcast, you know that.
Just going to duck out for a cup of tea. I'll be back at the end of the judgment.
Until you said that, Sean, you win that one.
Oh, we're so close. Damn it. Yeah. I did win it, did I? Is that it?
Was I too brief to be noticed?
Hang on. So did Sean just win?
Yep.
But hang on, you said until he said that he won. Does that mean I won?
No, he won it. He won it fair and square. I'm not going to take the emotional bruising and revenge on him.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely.
It's very big of you.
Actually, Michael, I will say, I do love the story, but I think Adamski, Adam would know as well as I know that was actually last week's story. Cryptos this week was pretty quiet.
So they're still getting hammered though?
Not really. In fact, they've actually increased this week.
You tell that to someone who's been sitting on it since October of last year when it was $70,000 US dollars a week, and you tell them, hey, crypto, you had a good week this week, and they'll say, see you later, Sean.
Yeah, fair point.
Most remarkable story.
Go for it, Michael. You're up.
Adam, I feel like I'm addressing a single juror now. So, I like money. I know you also like money. We wouldn't be working together on a podcast called Fear and Greed if we didn't. But I think we like huge sums of money even more, and it doesn't get much bigger than $15 trillion.
16 trillion? 16 trillion?
Oh, okay. Technically, it does get bigger, but I mean, hypothetically, for the sake of my story, you cannot award it to him on a technicality there,
No,
Adam.
fair point. I withdraw.
Thank you. Stricken from the record. $15 trillion was Australia's national household wealth in the March quarter. I think that just that number alone is remarkable, but the story behind it is pretty incredible because it's gone up about 35% in the last 2 years. There is a downside to the story, and that's that not everyone is actually sharing in that national wealth, because most of the increase came from the massive surge over the last couple of years in house prices. So basically, if you don't own a place, you've probably missed out. So really, the story is a bit of a mix, a remarkable story because $15 trillion is just such a lot of money. And as we know, Sean, $16 trillion is more, but $15 trillion is such a phenomenal sum. But it is also just a reminder of how crazy the property market is at the moment and has been over the last couple of years, and just how tough it is for those who are trying to get their foot in the door.
Fair enough. Now, it's funny, my most remarkable story is kind of the same, but a totally different take on it. Because it is all about money and lots of money. Now, we're coming towards the end of the financial year. This coming week, we hit the 30th of June. What's remarkable is that financially, what a crap year it's been. And that's the only way to put it. Let's get rid of fiscal year 2022. Research house Chant West during the week came out. It estimates that median growth funds within superannuation funds, they're the ones that have got between 60 and 80% of money devoted to growth assets like shares, they reckon those funds will end the financial year down 5%. Now, the ASX 200 is off around 10% so far this financial year. Wall Street's off almost 15%. A negative result for a growth fund would only be the fifth such result in 30 years since the introduction of compulsory superannuation in 1992. We are almost at the end of the year. It has been a dreadful year, and that's what's really remarkable, just how bad things have gone financially.
Adam, what do you think? The most remarkable story, as in the $15 trillion, or the most unremarkable year? And I'm not even trying to set you up at all there, because you may well change the criteria to fit that. So just go for it.
Okay. So I'm just going to have to reveal there's two methods going on at once here. So there's the outright winner for this category, and then I'm giving each of you points for each story.
Oh, yes. I love this.
So we'll do the big reveal at the end. I have this one. Oh, I'm going to say, Michael, you win it by the narrowest of margins. And the reason is the percentage in 2 years and just those huge volumes of money. So, and property right now, of course, we know it's resettling, it's coming back down. So it'll be fascinating to see where that remarkable story will go next. So you get this one by the narrowest of margins.
Can I say how much more exciting you have made it now that I know that we are getting marked on each story and we're getting a score for each story?
Yeah, competitive, Michael.
Oh, I am absolute. You cannot wipe the smile off my face right now, knowing that we are going to get a mark at the end of this. I am an epic nerd, and I just love the idea of getting a score.
You came first in mathematics in the state, got your picture in the local newspaper. We know. I didn't, for the record, come anywhere near first in anything whatsoever.
All right, we'll be back in a moment with the sleeper story of the week. All right, Sean, we are looking for the sleeper story of the week. So maybe the story that's not getting the attention that it deserves, or one that is going to become a bigger issue down the track. What was it for you?
Well, I hope this is a sleeper story, but to be perfectly honest, it may not be. But I'm hopeful it is. An 11-month Western Australian inquiry into the mining industry has recommended mining companies introduce background checks, an industry-wide register for sexual harassers, and limit alcohol on all fly-in, fly-out sites. The report found that sexual harassment within the state's fly-in, fly-out industry was generally accepted or overlooked, and there was a culture of a cover-up. The report calls for tougher punishment against perpetrators and greater efforts to prevent them from working at other mine sites. And it also recommends mandatory sexual harassment and assault training for all employees. Why is it a sleeper? I just hope this is the moment in time that things change in the rather manly mining sector. I'm not totally confident it will, but I'm hopeful. I mean, I just hope that it adds to the weight of evidence that men and women are treated differently in the workplace and particularly in mining. I think this is such a damning report into what's going on in that sector that it will change things. I'm hopeful. And maybe there's more sort of optimism there than reality, but I'm just hopeful.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's a very confronting report.
Yeah.
And look, I completely agree with everything you say. And I feel like we almost just need to kind of put a full stop there and move on, and we'll discuss it more in a little bit because I don't want to make light of that at all. So I'll just say that I'm about to move on to the sleeper story.
Yes.
And
what's your sleeper story?
Full disclosure, I am targeting Adam specifically because
you're about tax, aren't you? I can feel it.
What we can all agree on, one thing, is that this country needs some meaningful tax reform. Are you with me? Adam, are you with me?
More importantly,
I'm with you so far, Michael.
Good. Okay. Well, we saw that starting this week. And look, it's been talked about for a while, but this week we saw it start. It is being led by New South Wales. Tuesday saw the state budgets in two states, New South Wales and Queensland, and significantly in the former, the Treasurer, Matt Keane, introduced the very first steps towards abolishing stamp duty, which is one of the most hated, one of the most inefficient taxes in this country. It stifles economic growth. It costs 70 cents out of every dollar raised. It is a dreadful tax. Anyway, from next year, first home buyers, I feel like Josh Frydenberg right now, can I just say? Goodness me. Anyway, from next year, first home buyers will be able to opt into a scheme where the lump sum stamp duty charge is replaced by an annual land tax. So it's going to make it easier to buy and sell, easier for people to kind of downsize in retirement, free up bigger homes for families, all kinds of benefits. It is a sleeper because it sets a precedent. It might not be a sleeper story if you live in New South Wales, where there was a fair bit of coverage and there has been talk about it for some time. There was a bit of coverage in it with the state budget, but for 68.2% of Australia's population living in Queensland, Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania, Northern Territory, ACT, and of course our precious WA, this is a true sleeper story because once one state makes this change, the rest will fall like dominoes.
Can I just make a point? If you're marking out of 100 on this one, the maximum Michael can get is 68.2.
Thank you, Sean. It's very, very sensible. So, I think I'm going to disappoint. Well, I'm certainly going to disappoint one of you more than perhaps expected. I'm giving this one to Sean. Now, the reason I say this is that the tax reform stamp duty one has been around for a while. So I don't know that it actually qualifies as a sleeper because it's happened. Now, yes, it could roll out nationally, and please, let's hope so.
Never picked you for not being a true believer there, Adam. I thought this was one of your crusades. I guess I was wrong.
It is one of my crusades, but I have to say that the report, 18 months in the making, it seems, into West Australian mining and sexual harassment amongst fly in, fly out workers, that is a shocker. And so I do think it's got a lot more to run in this story. So narrowly to Sean.
See, Michael, what you forgot in this one, tax reform's good, but Adam is from Western Australia.
I know, and that's why I referred to WA as being our precious WA. I thought I made that abundantly clear.
That's true. Righto, Michael, tell me about your favourite story.
Okay, my favourite story, and this one isn't about Adam, this is just about me. I love aircraft, and so the favourite story of the week was the return of the Airbus A380, because I for one, wasn't sure whether we'd ever see them back in the air again post-COVID, because they are not exactly the most efficient aircraft. They are just so big, and Airbus has obviously stopped making them. But they are an absolutely incredible thing to see, even better to fly on. So the news that they're returning to the skies after being parked up in deserts all over the place is just brilliant. Carriers are expecting 60% of the parked A380s to be back in the air by the end of the year. I don't know about you, but a bucket list thing for me is to fly business on an Emirates A380, because apparently the bar for the business and first class passengers on the Emirates A380 is next level. And it's because back when they got, so here's a little bit of an aviation history lesson, when Emirates got their A380s back in 2008, they wanted something that was going to kind of set them apart from other aircraft. So they wanted to kind of relive the glory days of flying, and so decided on having this proper bar that actually looked like it belonged there rather than just kind of something wedged into a corner. Well, I was so unsure about kind of doing it that they designed it to be removable within 96 hours and that it could be replaced with 8 business class seats if it was a flop. They obviously didn't need to worry because it was apparently so popular that they knew within the first couple of days that it was going to be a keeper. And now people apparently fly business or first with Emirates just to access the bar. How good is that?
It's like a nightclub on an A380.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if you time it right, flying in the right time zones, it is permanently night, so you can drink the whole time.
That is a good favourite story because A380s are great. I got one. It's short. It's simple. Clive Palmer spent $100 million on his election campaign to try and take over the country. This week we found out United Australia Party got the 6th and final Victorian Senate spot. $100 million for one Senate spot. You can't buy your way into politics in Australia. Great story.
That is a good story. What do you think though, Adam?
Okay, Michael, you win this one. So that, I think the A380s is a great story.
Is that because he crapped on for a long time and mine was too short?
No, it's kind of because I loathe the United Australia Party. But anyway.
But that's the point of my story, Adam. That is the point of my story.
So that is a 2-2.
2-2. What a surprise.
However, each question being marked out of 25 points, a maximum. In aggregate, Sean, 75 points. Michael, 79 points.
Oh, yes.
Well done, Michael.
There you go.
Oh, God, I love getting marked.
You're home, Michael. The victory is yours.
Oh, wonderful. And I had a little tip that I was going to try and use to swing it in my favor, but I don't need it. I'll give it to you anyway.
Thank you.
And this is for both of you. This is for everyone, really, because, obviously I love my planes. I love satellites and space stuff and all of that. You might be aware of this, but just in case you aren't, a very quick tip. We're obviously nearly at the end of June. This month there's been something very kind of special happening in the sky. If you haven't seen it, there's probably only a limited number of days left to do it. Head outside early in the morning, about 5:45, kind of 6 o'clock-ish. It's quite a specific window. And you can see Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and Mercury all lined up.
Is that right?
All visible.
Very cool.
And for a few days, like the moon almost kind of fits into the line as well. So
Wow.
it's something pretty special. So that was what I was going to use if I needed to try and just get chisel a few extra points out of you, Adam, but I didn't. So it's a freebie for all.
Thanks.
Narrowest of victories, 79 to 75.
Can we hurry up and finish this, please?
Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you for your clever adjudication and your wonderful scoring system.
That's a pleasure, Michael. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Sean.
Oh, whatever. Thank you, Michael.
Make sure you're following the podcast. Join us online on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And remember, if you have been enjoying Safe Word by Fear and Greed, which used to be our Sunday edition of Fear and Greed and kind of resembles what this podcast is rapidly kind of devolving into, it is no longer available in the Fear and Greed playlist, but you can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. It is out every Thursday, and all you need to do is search for Safe Word by Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson. Have a great weekend.